Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. Generally like to talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about our top 10 Ameritrash, or if you prefer thematic board games. We're going to be giving you 10 board games where theme overrides the strategy or mechanics. Just remember, if your favourite thematic Ameritrash game is not on this list, that's probably because we haven't played every single bloody board game under the sun. But this list isn't in any particular order, or maybe it is. Anyway, let's crack on with this list. Bollocks. So number 10 on this list is a game that kickstarted the Kickstarter revolution, in our opinion. It's Zombieicide. We're only talking about the first iteration of Zombieicide, which includes the Prison Outbreak and the Rue Morgue expansions. We're not talking about Black Plague or Green Horde or Invader or any of that bullshit. We are just talking about the first edition of Zombieicide. The reason we like this game so much is because it is so bloody simple. You're just going to be moving and then you're going to be blasting zombies in the head. What you're going to be doing, basically just be choosing a scenario from one of the 10 billion scenarios that are available, mostly online, and then you'll be grabbing a weapon, going out into the big wide world and trying to fulfill the requirements of the mission whilst trying to stay alive. This game comes with a ton of miniatures. They might not be particularly good quality with regards to today's standards, but still, Zombieicide is a brainless, rollicking good time to be had, and we really like it. So number 2 on the list of our favourite Ameritrash games is Zeta, Legends of a Drift System, coupled with the Embers of a Forsaken Star, I think it's called. This is what's referred to as a sandbox game. It's not a sandbox game because you can't do anything that you bloody well please, but it's as close to a sandbox game as you are going to get today. Basically, you're going to go out into the galaxy, which is created step by step, taking explore action. This is a tile-based system where you're going to be placing tiles out and exploring the galaxy through branching tiles. You'll be trying to get as many victory points as possible to meet the requirements of the game, and you might be doing that by becoming a merchant. You might become a space pirate. You might end up trying to hunt down the space pirates. There's loads of missions in this game that give you victory points, and one of the wonderful things about this game is that you can upgrade your ship, and all the ships come with these really nice pre-painted miniatures that come on these little standy things. It is criticised for being a bit of a roll and move and random die roll fest, but if you can leave those misgivings at the door, Zeta, Legends of a Drift System is infinitely replayable. It is a wonderfully thematic game. So number 8 on this list is a game that sees you take on the role of a Tomb Raider style character going into a temple to nick a load of riches. Well, this is the Adventurer's Temple of Shaq, or I think there was a second one called the Temple of Horus, which we haven't played. But what you'll be doing, you'll be going into the temple, pushing your luck, trying to negotiate these different traps that come thick and fast. You've got the walls that come together in that sort of Star Wars-y type thing. Obviously, nothing to do with Star Wars, right? You might have to navigate your way across a lava pit by trying not to step on the wrong tile at the wrong time. And you've got that classic encounter with the rolling boulder that sees you trying to escape the temple before you get crushed to death, right? There's some wonderful components in this game. It does sort of get a little bit samey if you play it too often, but this is a game that you can sort of pull out every now and again. I usually play it with my kids because they love the theme, and it is a wonderful, wonderful game. If you can find it, definitely pick it up if you like games dripping with theme, right? So the next game on this list of our top 10 Ameritrash games is a game that's based on a TV show. It's Spartacus, a game of blood and treachery. And this is a game that caused a bit of a controversy when it was first released because of some of the content. Some of the cards are a little bit risky, a little bit bawdy, but you can take them out if you want. But essentially what you'll be doing, you'll be taking control of one of the houses from the TV show, and you will be hiring gladiators or slaves to give you a certain amount of income, and then you will be buying items that you will then use against other players to try and maybe stitch them up, weaken them when they eventually join you in a promise or a gladiatorial battle, right? There's a wonderful combat system that uses die rolls, but you'll be matching each die roll in succession to determine a winner. And this is one of the best games that we've played, where you've got a central theme of the Spartacus TV show, and then you've got a wonderful game that latches onto that theme perfectly, right? So it's aggressive, it's visceral, and if you can find the 2 expansions for this one, you can't have a better time than this. It does play up to 6 players, right? Bloody hell, it's going to take a long time. It does play up to 6. Spartacus is as close as you're going to get to having a punch up on your dinner table. So the next game on this list is a game designed by Eric M. Lang. It is Arcadia Quest. This is a game that is, again, very, very simple. You're going to be working your way through a campaign style bunch of scenarios. You'll be trying to fulfill the requirements of the scenarios, but you will also be having a bit of player versus player action. You'll be trying to kill fellow players, right? This game comes with some wonderful chibi style miniatures. We're no good at painting them, but we have seen some wonderful jobs done on the painting of these. A lot of these miniatures are tied to Kickstarter exclusives, sadly, so you ain't going to be able to get some of them unless you've got as much money as I have. But the combat in this has this special mechanic called crits, where if you roll a critical hit, you get to roll the die again and maybe get another critical hit. There's a possibility of getting an infinite number of critical hits if you need to do it, right? Arcadia Quest has spawned a couple of Arcadia Quest Inferno and also Starcadia Quest, which came out recently. But if you want a very, very simple dungeon crawling player versus player random die fest, then Arcadia Quest is a super one. So I've lost count of what number we're at, but it doesn't matter. Who gives a shit about that? The next game on this list is another game by Cool Mini or Not. It is Rum and Bones. This is a game that the developer claimed that it's based on some sort of, is it MOBA video game system? I don't really know about that. What you're going to be doing, you're going to have two ships that are going to be facing off against each other. You're going to be choosing a certain amount of captains that are going to be climbing across the rigging, trying to kill your opposing captains and crew. And the crew will just blindly move forward, crushing everything that's in its path. This game has a really, really simple but enjoyable upgrade system. You can be able to upgrade your special abilities by trading in cash, which you're going to get by killing the other players. And there is an absolute bathtub full of content for this. You've got so many expansions, I can't even think about some of the expansions you've got now. It's like you've got the Wellsport Brotherhood, you've got the Hammers of Ragnarok expansion, you've got the one with the panda thing in it, yeah, and you've got loads of subsidiary expansions that bump up the choice and quality of this one. Again, this is another random die fest, right? But also, if you can leave those misgivings at the door again, then this is going to give you a good time that you don't have to take too seriously. So, is it number one? Is it number four? Number four, we'll say number four, fuck it. Number four on this list is another zombie game that might see you as one of the traitors. It's Dead of Winter. In Dead of Winter, you're going to be rolling some dice, and depending on what you roll, you're going to be taking a certain amount of actions. One of the wonderful things and different things about Dead of Winter is that you've got this mechanic called the crossroad cards, where every round someone is going to draw crossroads cards. It's going to give you this really harrowing, nasty decision to make. And when I say harrowing, some of the cards on here are really nasty, right? They have this really macabre sensibility about them, and just thinking about it now makes me want to puke. Dead of Winter maybe has suffered from maybe just a little bit too much bloat with the Long Night expansion. There's some ridiculous modules that they've thrown in, like the Wrexham plant and some mutations of zombies and all that sort of nonsense, but you can chuck that out if you want to. And yeah, Dead of Winter is a wonderful sidestep from games like Battlestar Galactica and Shadows over Camelot. So if you're looking for a zombie themed game with Hidden Traitor, Dead of Winter, number one call, right? So number three on this list is a game that was recently reprinted, I think a couple of years ago. It's Level 7 Amiga Protocol. This isn't the shit Level 7 games like Level 7 Escape or that. This is the one versus all dungeon crawler type thing that's set in space, right? So essentially what you're going to be doing, you're going to be taking one of the, I think there's not many scenarios in the book, which is one of the downers about this. You'll be taking one of the scenarios. One player is going to be like the Overlord character, like in Descent and that sort of thing. The other players are going to be taking the role of Marines, and you'll be basically just trundling through the facility or the location that the scenario dictates, and you'll be trying to fulfill the purpose of the mission, right? One of the wonderful things about this game, it's got like a currency system where the Overlord is going to be using this type of currency to take actions or to embellish their actions, and then they'll have to pass whatever they spend back over to the Marines, right? And then they'll do the same sort of thing. Obviously, this has been done subsequently, but this is probably the first time that we've seen this type of thing. It's probably not unique to this game, but it is the first time that we've seen this sort of tug of war with currency type of thing in a game, yeah? If you're interested in this one, you probably won't be able to get hold of the original edition. You probably have to try and search out the second edition. But if you're fed up with that Descent, Star Wars, dungeon crawling in space type of thing, this is a worthy competitor to those sorts of games. So number two on this list is another Indiana Jones style type of game. It's Fortune and Glory. This is a game by Flying Frog Productions. They're famed for putting real-life photos in their games. Some of their other games that do that sort of thing are Last Night on Earth and A Touch of Evil, but this one sees you assuming the role of one of these traditional style pulp characters flying around the world trying to take on what they call a vile organisation like the Nazis or the Mafia, whilst at the same time exploring different locations to amass as much treasure as possible and win the game, right? One of the weird things that we still don't understand, if you understand it, please tell me, because sometimes I can't sleep at night thinking about this sort of crap. The currency of the game is called Glory, and the blue tokens or whatever, the other thing, is called Fortune. Why isn't the money called Fortune? Right? It doesn't make sense to me. If you know, please tell me. But Fortune and Glory is probably the first thing that a lot of people think about when you say Ameritrash. It's just got more cards than I've done drugs in my lifetime. And if you're after a game that takes up a banqueting style dinner table, then Fortune and Glory is right up your back alley. So number 1 on the holy list of best Ameritrash games that we've played is a game that replaced Arkham Horror for us. Yeah, it's Eldritch Horror, right? At the time this game was released, Arkham Horror spawned about 4 big box expansions and loads of mini expansions, and it was too big. It had a bigger belly than Mr. Creosote, right? So Eldritch Horror came along and promised to strip that down, and they weren't wrong. With the base set, there was basically fuck all in there, right? And that was a bit of a rip-off. Eventually some big box expansions came out and some mini expansions came out, and now there is a wonderful mass of content for this one. Basically what you're going to be doing, you're going to be choosing one of the ancient old ones from like a big stack of cards. They'll set up the scenario and you'll be moving around the world, drawing different types of cards, having encounters, trying to amass enough clues that will help you defeat the old one. It's just a little bit more in depth than that, but I ain't got time to mess about explaining nonsense to you, right? This game is so big, but it's still streamlined as compared to Arkham Horror. This game is, I guess, infinitely replayable. We've played it loads, and even now we haven't gone through all the content years after they ceased making stuff for this. So if you are after a Arkham Horror style game that is manageable, we haven't played the 3rd edition Arkham Horror, so we can't compare it to that, but if you want a sprawling game that is manageable and doesn't take too long, don't play this with 8 players, by the way. That will drive you insane. But yeah, if you want a game that is big but manageable, has a really good thematic anchor, is probably your go-to game that we would recommend to you. So there you go, that's our top 10 Ameritrash, or thematic games if you would prefer that phrase. Remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you next Tuesday.